And today we're going over one of our favorite stocks, and that's Costco Wholesale. They've just come out with some amazing new numbers, and this is also a recession-resistant stock. So let's get right to it, folks. And remember, if you want to live on this beach like Jimmy Buffett once did, you've got to learn how to invest even better than Warren Buffett does now. And let's see what Costco does. Well, first of all, they were formed by the merger of Price Company and Costco Wholesale in October of '93. And the company operates wholesale membership warehouses in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Australia, Spain, Iceland, France, China. And they sell merchandise directly from warehouses to a restricted membership. And folks, that is so important because every year I send them a bunch of money so they have recurring income all the time, and for us stockholders, that's a blessing. You want recurring income. So food and sundries account for 38% of sales, employs around 304,000 people. And do you recognize Kirkland? Well, folks, Kirkland is the Costco wholesale brand name, and they sell products under the Kirkland brand name. And folks, I looked at some numbers from just a couple of years ago, and they were outselling the Heinz and Kraft food labels by almost 50% more. So Kirkland is the brand, folks. It represents Costco. It represents good quality. And just to bring out a few numbers, March sales, so we're recording this in April of 2024, and their March store sales came out. They were 8% above the sales last year. 8% above last year, folks. I didn't mean to emphasize that so much, but that is a lot. And their dividends, well, they've raised their dividends 14% for this coming quarter. So, folks, Costco is firing on all 8 cylinders. And let's look at some of the numbers. Now, the blue is the average stock out there. Green are the Costco statistics. And when we talk about the clean surplus return on equity, and you know what the clean surplus return on equity is totally different than the traditional accounting return on equity. So Costco at 18%, the average stock at 13.5%. Now, what about net income? Net income is the bottom line number, so that's after non-recurring items. It's after those options that they pay out management, because there's a cost on those options. They're using that as a substitute for some of the salary. They're up 18%. We're talking about Costco, with the average stock up about 13%. And revenue, well, revenue is almost double the average stock. So this stock, Costco, is firing on all 8 cylinders. They're beating everybody, or they're beating the average stock by a big margin. Now, let's look at some numbers here, and I just want to show you something. And this comes all the way up to 2024 in here. And, folks, the thing that we're looking at is we want to see this net income. And, again, this is the clean surplus earnings. And we can see it going up every year, and all of a sudden they came out with surprise earnings right here from $16.16 up to $17, and that brings the clean surplus return on equity rising to 18%. Now, what does this mean, clean surplus return on equity? If it's rising, that means the earnings are increasing at an accelerating rate. So when we look at the 3-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year average, and we see that rise even in the averages, not only individual numbers themselves, but when we see that overall rise in the return on equity, it means their earnings are increasing at an accelerating rate. So this is a company that's getting better and better and better. Retention rate, about 3/4 of what it makes, it puts back into the company in order to grow. And how do we know that they are utilizing that money to grow efficiently? Because the clean surplus return on equity is going up. In other words, earnings are accelerating. Net income for the average stock, and we just went over this in the last slide, averaging 16% over the past 5 years, but 20% for this year. So this is a new number in here, folks, and they expect a 20% net income growth for 2024. Revenue has gone up almost double what was expected just last week. So we are looking at a company that is really, really doing very, very well. Both numbers for 2024, the net income growth and the revenue growth, are above the 5-year average of net income growth and revenue growth. Years to pay debt, this is Buffett's rule of thumb. He says if a company takes all the money that it's making and uses it to pay debt, how many years would it take to pay off that debt? His rule of thumb is 5 years or less. Our rule of thumb is 3 years or less. Well, this company can pay off its debt in less than a year, folks. So practically speaking, it has no debt that we have to worry about. And that's one of the reasons it's a recession-resistant stock. And recent dividend is small. We like to see a small dividend because we want to see a growth company put money back into itself in order to grow. That's the secret to a growth stock, folks. You don't want to see a high dividend in a growth stock. And then when we look at 1 year, black line is the S&P 500. It's up about 27%, while Costco is up about 47%. So we're looking at almost a double over the past 1 year. And when we look at the past 5 years, black line is the S&P 500. The yellow mustard-colored line is Costco. And we can see with the market averages up about 80%, 83, 84%, we are looking at a 210% return. And you can see this little blip in here where this Costco started going up again. Yeah, it's going to test that old high within a couple of weeks, especially as these new numbers are coming out and being absorbed by the market. And these numbers just came out 2 days ago, folks. So the numbers that we're talking about are right here, still being absorbed by the market. And so this stock wants to go back and reach that old high because it's doing better than it ever has. So, folks, we had a tumultuous week this week. The market was down, the market was up. The Federal Reserve was talking about we're not lowering interest rates too soon, and then it was talking about, well, we're still on the same schedule, on and on and on, because there's so many Federal Reserve presidents throughout the country, about, 12 of them, plus you have the head of the Federal Reserve, and they're all talking about a little bit of inflation creeping in here and that they might not lower rates till toward the end of the year and on and on and on. But guess what, folks? Some of the stocks that we're in our portfolio are reaching all-time highs, such as Amazon, such as Alphabet, and Costco is going to make a run for its new high very, very soon. So, folks, you go out, forget about the market, have a great, great weekend. This is the sunrise on the Atlantic Ocean. And folks, forget about the market because guess what? It'll be here next week. Enjoy your weekend. Be with your loved ones. And folks, we'll see you back here next time.